Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. BTM here, bringing you another narrated Age of Empires 3 match. Today, it is match number 90 on the map Yucatan. I am in French in teal, playing against a British player in orange. He's a first lieutenant, but this is an unrated game for him, so there's no pressure for him to feel bad in case I win. And as you can see, I'm going to start jamming on the Corps de Bois button and getting going. Now, considering he's playing British, it's going to kind of limit my strategy a bit because I'd really like to bring a French cavalry-based strat, but it's not really going to be practical to do that against a British player because if he goes musketeers or longbow pike, or even just a straight-up cavalry counter strategy of his own, I'm in trouble. So I really need to go Expo Pike for the best chance of success in this game, and I'm aware of that, unfortunately. Another thing I'm considering in these wee moments of the game as I'm kind of getting my early game micro going on is that there's water on both sides of it, but I don't really want to take the water with French. I don't have much experience. I'm not even sure if French has a schooner shipment or not. They may not, to be honest. I have no clue. So I'm kind of thinking in my head, like, is he going to take the water? Are we going to fight over the water? Should I be going for the water? It's kind of bad not to, but I don't know. So I am going to go with my deck that gives me what I think is the greatest flexibility. It's called Rush Musketeer, so it's slightly geared to have some Musketeer-based cards in it, but it will work very effectively for an initial Expo Pike and then transitioning into a later game, 3rd, 4th age gameplay if necessary. As you can tell by the length of this video, at around 21 minutes, 22 minutes, it is slightly necessary. I'm going to send 3 Corps de Bois as a first shipment. Now, again, I mean, we're doing all the easy, stupid early game mechanics, and I'm not saying they're so stupid that they don't matter, because they really, really do matter, and whether they're done well has a huge impact on the game. But I am thinking in my head the long-term, the strategy. And in terms of long-term strategy, I hate, and I mean absolutely hate, playing against British. By far and away, I hate British. And the reason why is I hate enemy units that can have a longer range than my own. And my air conditioning just kicked on. I hope you guys cannot hear it. I can hear it slightly through my headphones, but the way my microphone's set up, you may not be able to. Sorry for the thing. But I hate units that have a longer range than my own. And British longbowmen have such a ridiculously long range. Them and Portuguese culverines, the two units that I despise more than anything. So I mean, that already makes a very, very interesting dynamic, because no matter what unit I go for, besides Hussar, his longbowmen will be able to hit and run me fairly effectively, and so that kind of puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage in case I'm going to just try to, you know, power mass him. It does give him some flexibility in terms of being able to run forward, run back. Now, I was going to go grab that coin treasure at the bottom of the map, but seeing this 80 or 100 food, I decided I need to go for that instead. So I'm going to kind of bring over my explorer, and then I happen to see him. But the thing is, and even though he'll end up here walking away, acting all kind, he would have lost that fight anyway because of having my scout and explorer to shoot at him. So if he had stuck around, I would have killed him, and it would have just been a waste of his time and my time. So while it was kind of nice of him not to make it a hassle or try to steal it, I don't think it was a massive deal. However, it does distract me long enough to mess up my aging time slightly. So kind of messed up, but I'm going to shift 10 villagers onto food, or wood I should say, in anticipation of throwing up double barracks as soon as I age. I am going to grab this treasure, and then I'm going to go grab that coin treasure, and I think I am going to bring my scout with me to use as a melee person. I've definitely scouted out enough of the map. I know where my 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th herd are. I am going to use that house to see how far forward I can build, but knowing enough of the map, I'm now kind of thinking, well, I'll use my scout at least for this short term to help me gather some treasures a little bit faster. And is that 120 coin? That's going to be very, very useful for me in terms of attempting to have coin for upgrades and the such. And have I built a market yet? I should probably get to building a market. Look at me. Do I do it? Oh, I do build a market right now. I know a lot of people say build your French market upgrades earlier. I don't know. I would love it if somebody posted in the comments the science behind that, if it's wiser to do that then. And here's my explorer fighting a jaguar like a boss. So there you go. And I am in the meantime going to buy my market upgrades, all the first age ones, discovery age market upgrades as I'm progressing to the Colonial, and I would love to go grab that 250 coin as well, but I'm probably going to forget. So let me drop my scout back into stealth mode, send them off to go explore in the world, and then get ready to throw down some barracks as soon as I age. And I'm actually putting those barracks there, and you might kind of be like, why are they behind the mine in the trees when you saw with your house they could be on the other side? The reason was because I figured if I get counter pushed, I might cause him some pathing issues. Not tremendous amount, but it might be just enough trouble for him, you know, that might be positive for me. Now, my first second age shipment, and I'm going to get probably some flack about this, is going to be for Courrier de Bois. You know how I do the economics. I don't know, it's my play style. And something that's kind of nice about what I'm doing here is I am kind of... I'm thinking of a very dirty phrase to use. I'm trying to think of a nicer one. I am eating away some of those middle hunts here that he would like to use. I was thinking of a... Never mind. I won't. Well, I am eating at those middle hunts. Now, I wanted to put up that stable, as you could tell, a little bit early, expecting him now that he knows I'm going Expo Pike. But there's not a tremendous amount he can do about it. I mean... What's he honestly going to do now that he knows I'm going Expo Pike? He can't go Hussar. I mean, the best he can do is go a Longbowman mix, or almost heavy on the Longbowman. So as long as I'm aware of that and preparing to go to Hussar at some point, it's probably not the biggest end of the world ever. But as you can see, I have my dual barracks up, and I'm gathering a lot in that area where I'm hunting from. But again, I'm just trying to, you know, keep him off some resources, keep some pressure. Looking around the map, I got some musketeers coming now. I forgot that I made musketeers. Here was my thinking when I made musketeers. It was more that the only reason why I would use pikemen in particular is as a deterrent to cavalry. Cavalry, yeah, as a deterrent to cavalry. But considering that he knows I'm going Expo Pike, and considering that Pike would get killed if they tried to cover the distance to Longbowmen, it didn't seem particularly important to go to utilize them at all. So I am going to come in here and kind of attack that barracks a bit, but he's going to get the first shot. I mean, as you can see, he's doing the exact same thing as I am, except that he's doing it with Longbowmen instead of crossbowmen. Lucky. And he is going to kill like 2 or 3 of my units surprisingly easily. I'm telling you, that long range is just, it's atrociously difficult to fight against. But not a big deal because I'm just still making villagers. I'm at 23 right now and going to be counting. I believe most of my villagers are still going to food. I built a forward house. This is so my thinking. I'm like, well, you know, I probably need to build units or houses. Let me just build them up here. And am I going to build a stable yet? No, I do need to build a stable. But if you notice right there, that is one of my hugest pet peeves. When units wander when you tell them to stand somewhere. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, just stay put. I don't want to have to click on defensive mode every single time. I don't want you to wander. But at this point in the game, I am going to kind of circle around. I see the really strong bevy of hunts over to his side, and I'm looking at this matchup here thinking, will I win? Will I not? Probably. I thought I was going to win, to be honest, but it looks now like he's kind of going to take the upper hand, and I'm sensing that I might not win, so I'm kind of backing up a little bit. I'm trying to buy time for my 10 Expo-men to pop out and save me, because I know that that's crucial. I'm also sending now 8 Expo-men for my home city, and so it's one of those things where it's like, this is potentially a very, very bad situation. But it looks like the popping of units scares him. Maybe having to come into a choke point scares him a little bit. So he ends up not pursuing, and I'm just like, thank goodness. I felt like that was about to be a very, very bad situation for me. And I think it's at this point where I'm thinking, I need a stable. Why can't I build one? I'm looking for wood choppers and villagers. Then I'm like, I have 6 people on wood. How do I not have 200 wood available? Well, that's of course because I've been making units which cost wood. So I'm now floating almost 2,000 in resources and not using any of it. I'm kind of feeling trapped by the lack of wood, because what I really want to do is make a batch of Hussar, but I can't. And so I'm looking around the map wondering, like, what do I do? Do I have wood laying around somewhere? Where do I do this? And look at all those herds there. So it's going to be very, very present on my mind that I want to keep them off those herds, and I want to be able to raid quickly. But I do have my 8 more crossbowmen coming, and now I can get my stable up. I'm going to build it in the fork in the road. And you know what I did not do this game? I did not build any trading posts. And yes, that saddens me greatly. But considering that I only have 20 crossbowmen, and he has a probably much larger force at this point, I want to say, and I feel I'd be reticent not to mention, I think he threw away his chance to decisively win the game right here. If you look at my forces, knowing what you know about me and the amount of resources I'm floating, look at this. I'm waiting for this stable to get up, and I'm dependent. I'm very dependent right now on getting that stable up and getting some units out, and then getting a house up, and then making more musketeers, and then getting cavalry on the map. Cavalry. I hope I'm saying that right. I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but I don't know why. So you know what I mean? But I feel like right now he probably has a much larger force on his side of the map that he doesn't realize. And I think that's one of those things where you play the game, no matter how good your micromanagement is, you have to have a very good feel for the ebb and flow of the game. And I think he made a mistake by being scared by my initial unit pop out. Now I'm sending 2 towers, my favorite shipment of all time, you know. That way I can further strengthen my position on the map. And my thought is, all right, we'll put them right in front of my barracks and really just create this nasty little, this is my position, you don't get to come here situation. And I have 5 Hussar popping out perfectly in time, along with my master units. And now it's one of those things where if he comes and attacks, especially with a massive longbow, he's actually going to be in somewhat of a big disadvantage trying to come at me, because I'll have a huge musketeer horde, I'll have a huge crossbowman horde, and I'll have Hussar on the field available. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, I don't want to say pity him, pity the fool, but if he had an advantage, he's lost it now. And I'm converting a lot of my resources into units. But as you can see here, in he comes. And this is going to be kind of this interesting moment. See, he's got a huge mass. I've got a huge mass. I'm actually kind of cluster-effed, I should say, by the map. And we're kind of fighting. But it's going to work out really well, because look at the mass of longbowmen in the back. And boom, there's some Hussar pop in to go attack him and flank him. And they're going to be able to get some free kills, force him to maneuver around. And I think I'm going to end up winning this engagement and then hopefully keeping the pressure on him. No spoilers alert, but I'm telling you, I think this was a very different dynamic after he let me build up, get 2 or 3 full batches of musketeers up. You know, notice that I have a lot of musketeers still standing, and get a batch of Hussar up and out on the field. Now, he is retreating, and I have a much larger army, and I do pursue here. And in hindsight, I'm feeling this is very almost Napoleonic into Russia. Do I have enough strength to actually push into his town, deal with pathing, deal with his longer range? And I gotta say, probably not, just because I have to get so close in order to inflict any damage. But at the same time, it was one of those, I have so many units, why am I not going in and killing thoughts in my head? I am going to end up sending 2 economic cards though, and just continuing to expand my stranglehold on the map. I assume by this point in the game that he has to be fishing, and he pops Minutemen to come defend him. Normally you should just back out when you see Minutemen, because it's a sign of desperation. They're going to lose health anyway, so it's pointless to fight them at full strength. But look at my mass. But I gotta say, this is a good testament to the power of town center fire here and the power of longbowmen. I'm not really getting close enough to handle his units succinctly or efficiently, and so I'm going to end up, I think, backing out right here. At least I hope I do. I'm going to end up trying to get some more Hussar on the map and trying to pull together. No, I don't end up. I end up trying to attack him some more. But as you can see, he sent 700 food, so he clearly feels a little bit in trouble. Let me take a quick sip of my drink. But as you can see, town center fire and longbowmen fire is just wrecking my once larger horde of units. And so for the 10-15 units I have in town, we're going to want to get out of there, back up all the way to my my fortress, I should say, or my fortified position, and then wait for more Hussar to pop. Now, the good news is that we definitely have a major advantage. The bad news is we might have spoiled it slightly. However, I don't think I was wrong to push in there. And I mean, it's really one of those things. We can look at it from my perspective earlier in the game and say, look, he was definitely wrong not to push in earlier when I had just Expo and I was defended. But was I wrong not to push in here? I had a numerical advantage. I really couldn't have predicted, I guess, the amount of bad effects that the town center fire would have had. So what I am going to do here, though, is I'm going to let my Hussar go and deal with his longbowmen that are very, very hard counter. I'm going to keep making more Hussar, and I'm just going to work on taking down a barracks, and hopefully the Hussar will do their job. However, I'm telling you that town center fire is wrecking my Hussar. If you have 10 villagers in there, it does 100 damage per shot, and that is absolutely massive to, you know, any unit. So it's kind of a bummer. I am going to lose all 5 Hussar that I just popped into this town, but I did destroy his barracks, one of his barracks, and that's a 200 wood investment, so I do kind of feel as though that was a good trade-off. I am still attempting to make villagers, and now I'm going to be eating this herd near him, and this is one good thing that the pressure on him has done for me. It's kept him in his base, and he's kind of whining about no hunts here. And I was laughing in my head while playing because I'm thinking, dude, I'm eating this huge hunt which is just outside of your town. So I don't know if he never went and found it or if he never felt confident enough to go get it, because there's definitely no hunts beyond my second hunt or third hunt super close to my town as well. But I was definitely able to go in there and eat it. But I am going to keep suicide charging with my Hussar. And I'm doing it, I think, because it cost me 200 head of Hussar and him 80 head of longbow. But I'm definitely killing 2 or 3 longbow per Hussar. So I don't feel too bad about charging them in. At least that was my thought. Maybe I am wasting some resources here. But I don't want him to sit back and amass some units. But after it's pretty clear to me that I'm not going to be able to kill enough units there, I am just going to make more Hussar and back out my mass, and I guess just stand to burn this house for a while, get a little bit of pressure. Meanwhile, I will keep eating all of his hunts near him because that's what I do. No, I mean, I think map control is a wonderful, powerful thing, and he didn't take control of the map, although if he was fishing now, which he should be, undoubtedly, it would be a very different dynamic. He would be keeping ahead of me. But our scores actually aren't that different. There's only a 13-point difference. And when you consider we're both over 100 now, or close to 100, that's a 10% difference in economy. That's not as big as you would expect for somebody who's had, I hate to say as many crushing military defeats, because I don't think his defeats have necessarily been crushing. But he's definitely had a very, very concise string of victories. However, I am going to push forward a little bit more coordinated here. I'll send the Hussars in with my infantry coming in right behind to really fully get the impact. But as you can see, he's done a great job of getting a lot of units on this field, and I am actually going to march my Hussar around his barracks and then really kind of take full advantage of anything I can do, I guess, in this case, and kill. And I am going to, I think, be able to mop up all of these longbowmen again. So it's kind of a case where I've been winning the last several battles, but I haven't necessarily been able to lock away the war. And I say winning probably a little bit cautiously. He has been able to hold me off and repel me, but every time it's really costly for him. It's one of those situations where I feel like I can easily afford to just keep putting men into this war, and I don't think he can. So different dynamic, I guess, in this game. Also, even though I'm starting to, where's the next mine and where's the next herd, I am eating over pretty much most of the map. So it's not a big deal for me, whereas for him, who's been hiding in a corner, it's a little bit more of a substantial problem to find sources for resource gathering. And if he hasn't turned to the sea, this is probably about the time he's going to be doing it. Spoiler alert, you'll see at the end of the game. He'll have a few boats and a dock on the ocean, but it's one of those too little too soon, too little too late. And I am going to end up scouting around him. Look at these huge herd right outside. And right there as well. And it was one of those things where I'm like, that absolutely has to be in range of your market. So I don't know what you're talking about when you say there's no herds. You had to have seen that. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. It's just, you had to have seen those herds and you didn't herd them back. I mean, they're just my thought, at least. I am going to click up to the Fortress Age because I feel like cannons and some cuirassiers, if that's how you pronounce it, would be a tremendous advantage. Meanwhile, I'm going to keep doing what I've always been doing, and that's, attacking, killing longbowmen while taking absurd amounts of damage from the town center fire. But again, it's just at a point where at some point he is going to have to stop trying to replenish units that he can't afford to, and I won't have a problem with it. So, it's not a big deal for me to just keep this going on and keep attacking him, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And this has been a really late Colonial game if you think about it. 19 minutes in the Colonial, that's quite lengthy. But he does signal this time he is going to call the GG, and he says I'm bad, but he's a first lieutenant. He's a way better player than me. I mean, I think he's a way better player than me. I definitely won, but I don't think I'm a worse player than him. So it was a good, fun game. It's always fun to play with subscribers. I don't answer or get to play with everybody who messages me or talks to me on game just because of my schedule. But it was nice to have somebody who recognized me pop into a game I was hosting and say, "Bring it, come at me, bro." So it was a lot of fun. But again, he was whining about hunts, and I didn't feel like his hunts were that much worse compared to mine, looking at the hunts right outside his base. And if you can't capitalize on those, then I think maybe you should reconsider. And then he started whining about my Corey de Bois, and I thought that was kind of interesting as well, because you have your manor house booming and some things. But all around, it was a good game. I definitely had a much bigger and much more aggressive military. And he was significantly ahead of me, but he stopped making villagers for a very, very long time. I think that was because of the pressure I had on him. And as you know, I do love pressure on players as I play them. I like keeping the tempo and, making them react and respond to me. So before I leave, I do have a quote today, not from Sun Tzu in The Art of War, but it's a quote I like, and it says, "I think whether you're having setbacks or not, the role of a leader is to always display a winning attitude." And I think that's something I really do appreciate about this community, is that we are all, for the most part, incredibly friendly, incredibly nice people. And so I appreciate you, and I hope that I always have the kind of attitude, or exhibit the kind of attitude you guys would hope to see in a YouTuber. And I hope you guys appreciate it, because I sure appreciate you. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, good luck and happy hunting. My name is BTM, and I will catch you guys later. BTM out.